Hi everyone, this is Corey here with a new episode of my devlog. And what I will do today also is I will take you through all the changes what I did for the design for the vampire survival-like game engine. Especially because it's got really popular, but at least 10 times as much people watched it than normally watching on my stream. So definitely this is something what you viewers love to watch. So what I'm building, this is just a simple prototype of a vampire survival-like game. Just using a ship and some kind of drones which is attacking. And I will go through not the code, because the code, this is just a kind of prototype, not even more just a proof of concept at this point. But I'm trying to plan out the whole system and make it reusable. So I stop this for a moment, and then I will switch over to the design. Okay, so I progressed a lot forward. It's still not complete, but I dig myself into the ECS documentation as well. I'm trying to get it as accurately, as close as possible. But of course, this is a plan, not a documentation. Okay, so before, I think the next bit is just jump in and I point out what I changed since the last session. And also, you don't have to worry if you haven't seen the previous one, because I just will point out, but I will go through anyway most of the sections which is changed or interesting. I break up now to modules, the system, like there is one for the game loop, overall game loop, one for progress, what we talked about last time, but it's changed since. I will have a player and mob module, one for UI, and one for rewards, which is a very important part of a vampire survival game. And then I have two kind of engine which is handling all the movement, the damage, and all kind of spawning, despawning. And I will plan to do two engine technically in it, one with ECS and one without, for all the style of games. It's all 3D, how you've seen. And okay, not everything of this is ready, but I'm trying to break it up and make it as decoupled as possible. I'm using as much as possible scriptable objects and actions for events, and I'm trying to minimalize that when one item using another item, or one game object using another game object, as much as possible. Like on my game what I'm building in Multiplication Mayhem, if you've seen some of my previous coding streams, then you may came across of that. All right, so let me jump in after that long introduction, and let me get you through the autumn. A little bit I want to talk about the game loop, and then I will jump into the communication overview, and then I will show you what I changed in the progress module and the reward module. Technically, I made it a lot thinner. And what is completely new is the ECS engine module, where I'm some areas I already detailed out. So lot of fun stuff to dive in here. Okay, so first, very quickly, I identify the game loop and the main loop. What I mean about main loop and game loop is the main loop is just the main application, and the game loop is when you are actually playing. So the main loop, after start, you are in the start menu, so that's not duplication there. And then you can quit or start the game. When you play the game, you can exit from there, or you can finish the game, either winning or losing, and then you get back to the start menu. So that's just a simple main loop. The game loop itself, we set up the level, we run the game, so that's when you are running around or using the ship. Is that driving around? Is that sailing around? Sailing around, right? And then there is multiple things can happen there. Either you unlock a reward, like your XP, because your XP leveled up, you get a reward, or you found a chest or something like that. Of course, it will be not a chest if it's a battleship game, but something like that. Then you get a reward, you get the reward screen, so on, and then it goes back to run after you selected your reward, and it's added to your character or vehicle in this case. And there is a level done and die. I separated the two things. While Vampire Survivors, it just has a result screen. I like to know if I'm kind of finished something. Like, it's possible there will be, like, if you reach level 1880, then you finish the level and you can go to the next one. I will see that exactly how I play that out when I'm actually designing the content for the game. Die is when you dies, which is normally happens. Now, when that happens, normally it ends the game and you go back to the start menu, or first the summary and then the start menu. However, there is some cases, even in Vampire Survivor, when you can get extra response. So if that happens, then you can go back and play. If you have that, you can unlock a lot later if you played with the game. Okay, so that's just a simple game loop. And then there is the menus, which I'm not going in details. It's technically not a loop. It's more a interrupt kind of system where any menus are interrupting any another menus. Let's say I open settings or pause, and then pause I choose settings, then I'm in settings, and from there I open video settings, let's say. If you do that, you want to close video settings, you want to go back to the settings page. If you close that, you want to go back to the pause menu, for example. So that's kind of works like an interrupt kind of way, and I still can design a system for that, but that's not really a loop. I identified all the different menus, what the game will need. I have a state. This is a state machine kind of diagram. The menu is usually off. The arrow should go. Oh no, this is just the structure. That's the state machine. This is, I don't know why I have the stop. I don't need that top there. This is only the structure. So either the menu off, or I'm in one of these menus, all from start menu, upgrade selector, player unlock, and player selector, which in my case will be not a player, but it will be a different battleship. Pause menu, but I'm creating the engine, like, doesn't matter what is the game, what is the content, try to use it abstract as much as possible, so you can put in something else there, or just use a character or similar. There is a pause menu which has settings with all the different settings tabs, or I don't know if there will be tags or separate little images. There is on the pause menu, when you are playing, you have the map screen and weapon screen where you can get more information on the combinations or the map, which shows you maybe interesting things in the distance, but you can go and explore. Feedback form, you need a feedback form if you build a game. I don't have to explain that. You need one. And then lost or one screen. This is actually results screen in Vampire Survivors, but I like to keep my options. And there is the reward screen when, when the little box comes out and all the gold coming everywhere, and then it's spinning there, and then you get the reward or options for multiple rewards depending on if you unlocked it from XP or chest or so on. Okay, too much I talked about that. Okay, this will be more deep dive here. So I have a concept of progress in the game. I'm wondering if I should show this first or the progress module. So the progress module generally didn't change that fundamentally at all. It just cut off half of it from last time. Technically, this one is not even part. The spawn config system is not part of the progress module. I just left in here because it's maybe a bit easier to understand than when I can get there. And we handling all the mob spawners, which is depends on the progress module. But it expects progress messages to be able to update how many mobs or how many abs and what kind of mobs to spawn, for example. But let's just go back to this. So this part is more or less the same. I slightly renamed stuff here, but nothing fundamentally changed. Progress is we have always a goal progress, like if you can set up end of the, let's say, 30 minutes. And then the current progress currently is we are, of course, this wouldn't be in minutes, this would be in seconds. So is that 1,800 seconds? I can be wrong. Yeah, I think. Yeah. So you put 1,800 there, and then it starts from 0, and it starts to tick up, because I have multiple ways to make this go. But the idea is it's just calls next and next and next, and every time when calls next, it will invokes a message. I will explain that in a second. But the idea is it can be multiple type. Like for a runner game, it could be, let's say we do a progress event message every time when you with every meter, how you progress forward, while time-based one like Vampire Survival, it would be every second there would be send a tick, or technically I call it on progress changed. This is a global action. The reason is scriptable object, because kind of easier way to do singletons with like that. And so only one of these exists, and it's sending messages and multiple objects throughout the game. Will listen for this on progress changed, which is the most important. It sends one number. And then also I have on progress resetted and on progress completed and on progress aborted for the different kind of things can happen in a game. If it resets when we start, it completed. If we have an end in the game, I will see if there is like you kill the. I didn't get there in Vampire Survivors yet. If there is an end, like killing the last. I find a lot of coffins, and every time it said, "Oh, it's actually not the vampire." So I think there is a possibility to kill that vampire, and then the game ends, and I see some credits. So in case, or it will be just represent with the level completed. If there is an end for a level, I think there is a possibility to reach a certain level and then finish, but I'm not exactly sure of that. However, I have it in the system, so if somebody want to implement that, that's possible. On progress aborted, anytime when you technically died, then it goes into the aborted state. More at the moment, I'm only using really the first two. The another two is there for I possibly will use it. Maybe I pop up the special UI or something, like I know something happened in the game, or pop up the credit screen or something like that. Okay, and then I have a mob spawn progress. Sorry. It technically have some curves in there for mobs and bosses, and depending on if how the seconds goes up, it subscribe to it and get a message, and then it just sends another message, the spawn progress section, which tells how many maximum enemies should be on the screen, and also if there should be any bosses and how many of them. Also system-based, the spawn configuration. Is that configuration? I think that's just a spawn system, which should be subscribing for this. But I can be wrong. Let me just double check. I did not update that. No, I think what's subscribed is actually this one, the progress system. I changed this just today. I was working on it, so sorry about that. But that's technically just really to make it easier to understand. So that's the progress module, but also I a little bit show this in a communication diagram. It may be easier to understand. So SE progress sends like a second change, which is on press changed, invokes that message, which goes to it notifies multiple different things. The reason that I did here, because from there it wouldn't be clear who else is subscribed for that, and I'm trying to keep the different modules separately on the at least the diagrams of each of them, because otherwise it would be just a giant mess. So it sends these different messages. All the different one is probably will go to the different elements. So, but let's focus on progress change. It goes to the game loop manager. Would that go? No, that one not. But on progress aborted would go to the game loop manager, because we have to go and leave the game. Or on progress completed means like we finished a session of the game. Most likely that will be the meaning of that. Then it goes to the game loop. But also there is a progress UI which need to be popped up. Oh no, progress UI is the clock on the top. So every message it will send how many seconds we are in, and the progress, the UI will get a message of that. And also what I talked about in the progress manager is also this progress will send one of these messages to the mob spawn progress it's a model behavior class, which invokes also another message, which the onMax map count change and onMax boss count change. So it tells how many mobs are total should be spawned on that second. And then the mob spawn system, which is again the wrong one, right? Because it's the mob progress. I renamed that. A mob progress system is the one what getting that message. Okay, so that's one done. Okay, I will go to reward next, but before that I just quickly pop in here. These ones I just started to work on, but I moved over here. This used to be in the progress and it was completely in the wrong place, in my opinion. So I separated out all player related, like the weapon and the skills, which you can get on the rewards and the upgrades. And they have a type. I had a special weapon. Another scriptable object, which was holding a weapon and a skill, and then it gives a pointer to a special weapon. But it was a little bit felt like unnecessary. So what I did now, I added, and I had a special weapon kind of boolean here. So instead of that, that's the type. So instead of that, I store here if it has a dependency. If it's null, you can just get it. If it's need a special weapon already maxed out and a specific skill, then it will be there as dependency. So the reward system would only pick that weapon if the dependency is satisfied. And also I bring here the character, which has some starter weapons and skills. I didn't connect everything together because this one I just started to work on. The same with the mobs. It's just all the data on the mobs. It has the prefab on it, ID, hit point, speed, power. Power is the damage what they cause, and then how much reward you get for killing those mobs, and how much chance you have it drops actually reward for you. Okay, so these are just I started to work on. What is more interesting is the reward and the ECS engine module after. So the reward module, I again simplified it, and I just mentioning here all those scriptable objects what I already have there. So a player manager has a character, because you can play with different characters. They have different, or in my case, because it's a battleship kind of game, it will be different ships probably. I may come up with a better name because it's not necessarily a character, but the same idea. And you have weapons and skills, and that's attached to your player manager. I renamed this. This was called differently previously, and I had more action groups or scriptable objects holding actions, and I merged them into one since last time. So active player progress is actually holding all the current values of your level, the XP, and all the skills and weapons what you have at the moment. and player manager and pod reward manager knows about those. And there also, I just have one more scriptable object, which is stores a list of integers, yes, which is just tells how many XP you need for each level. How you leveling up. If you reach that level, then it will be triggering the update level and so on. Or actually, it will send a message on that. Okay, so the message is what we send or can receive is, okay, we can reset, we can open a chest, we can get some XP, we can level up. When we open the screen of rewards, then for that we have to prepare a set of rewards, which the reward manager will do. It will choose out what is the one or multiple rewards what you can get. And for example, if you know in Vampire Survivors, there is sometimes, normally you just get one item. Then there is sometimes you can choose from 3 items, and then sometimes when you get a really good chest, you get 3 or even 5 items at the same time. So that one have to be decided before I open the UI up, and that happens here in the reward manager. So when it's subscribed for leveled up or chest opened, and when that happens, then it handles level change or can pick rewards as well for the chest, and then it can sense the rewards is ready, and then the player. Now I have to just pop up for the one of the UI element. Let me see. No, that's the XP bar. I will explain that in a sec as well. So in the reward UI, which is actually the pop-up, it listens for that message of I have to fill this out better. So it listens to the message, okay, these are the picks, which is a set of picks. And then from that, the player click one of them, and then send the reward pick effect, or no, it's called differently. Just a moment. It's called on reward weapon selected, on reward skill selected, because I have either from the player point of view, this is just different items, but it is important. One of them, the weapons are actually doing damage. The skills are more just enhancing them, like in the game, in a Vampire Survivor game. So that's how I'm kind of simplified, but that one. And I can actually show this. It's with the communication diagram, so it's a little bit more easier. Don't get scared. It's not complicated. So here you can see elements from other areas, like the ECS engine, because more things are listening than just within one module. Okay, so when I pick up a drop, drops are usually little diamonds, different colors of diamonds, different values of XP you get for them when you go and pick them up after you kill the enemy. So when you pick up one, then you can the reward action add XP message we will invoke. There is also possible to open a chest, and then that's a pickup as well. So that's two of them. So let's go through. Let's say we go towards the XP first. So we send that message, which will notify the UI, which is the XP bar. So I get new XP, I add it to it, the XP bar grows. Ignore this part yet. That one is not the most important at the moment. And if we leveled up, which is actually, yeah, the XP bar would know if we level up from the XP what we gathered. But I thought I was setting that with using the, okay, moment. Yeah, so that's the one. So the XP bar, which is, yes, it has access to the scriptable object of the active player progress. So it knows the current, which levels, what XP we have currently, and the level. So either this, yes, okay. So this one can send the message of, yes, we need a reward because we leveled up. So that's the level up one. Okay, sorry. So, okay, so it sends a on reward action on leveled message, which goes both for the reward manager and the player manager. Both of them are notified of this. Different reasons. The player manager also needs to know this happened because, okay, go back to the reward manager. So, yes, well, it handles some of the leveling up functionality there on the player, while the reward manager is actually the one who, after that, will nicely prepare the. So the reward manager will be the one who ready select out, depending on your level and everything, the right rewards or option possible rewards. Okay, just jump back. If you open the chest, then the reward manager, depending on the chest, selecting out the possible rewards for you. And then that goes to the reward UI. But you can, I lift it up so you can see better. So you see the reward UI, which is shows actually the possible, maybe there is just one or the multiple selectable, the multiple ones that you can select. And then if you select skills or weapons, then also notify the player manager and it gets saved. Okay, so that's how the reward system works. And now come the ECS engine module. So certain things I already worked out. I partially tested the idea as well. Some of these are like the damage system is need more thinking there, especially because I still looking into how would be optimal to do. I'm reading a lot of the documentation right now on the physics system of the ECS physics system to come up with really the best idea here. But let's just drop in here. So the first section here on the ECS engine is the movement, which is handles movements. Sorry. So so the movement are, I broke up to multiple parts. So a normal vampire survival game, this would be the player movement system would be enough because you just move up and down, left and right. However, because I'm with the ship, I also introduce something with the rotation, and I will make this configurable. So later on, I can even do a different kind of game, which is actually maybe using just a character or a train or an airplane or a spaceship, who knows. And the reason this is both of them are actually rotates the player, but I also need the player input. So I have a player input system which knows the player controls. I'm using the new input system on that. Then it saves down these the input into technically a data entity, a component data, which is called the movement data. I get the movement forward, backward, left and right, and rotate, and I will use whichever I need from there. And then I also use that for the moving the player. So this updates and then uses both in the rotation and the movement that data, and then the player rotate system rotates the player around in my case, but the movement system is actually moving the word around the player, which at the moment I'm keeping the player in 0, in mine one, and I move all the mobs. I will probably put into the engine a little configuration where you can actually decide if you want to move the player or you want to move the word around it. Okay, and then so from all the modules, this is the one which is handles all the ECS side of the game because it's 3D, and I'm trying to use ECS on this. After the player input system updated the data and we're using it with rotation or movement, we also have another one which is generating movement for the mobs, because the mobs try to hunt you. I used to call this mob hunt system, but I renamed it to move system because this one is responsible to move the mobs towards the player, while the player movement is actually would move the word around you, so move everybody, including the mobs. And also I have a special one here, is I have a sync player system, which is system-based, not iSystem, for the reason I have kind of an empty game object sitting over the player, and I rotating that the same way how, or I could move them as well, the same way how I move everything around. The reason to do that, it has a component on it which has a transform, or just technically a vector 2 or vector 3 or 2 vector 3s, and then I can just copy over whatever is the rotation there, which makes it me a lot easier to access that data from the game object's word completely. Okay, all the damage stuff is not really ready. I just have like a fundamental basic thing there, but maybe what could be also interesting is this one, the spanner. Now this is this is fun. It took me a lot of reading of the documentation to find the best solution for this. But technically, I have two scriptable objects. I don't think one of them is the mob. So all the values what's in the mob is you can find there. So the values, let me remind you. So this kind of stuff. But also the SMOB also has the prefab. What we want to create the mobs from, and we have the baking process to actually bake that to I component, which is the mob data. Yes, all this data is on that prefab. And also we have kind of a set of configs. So this authoring is creating multiple objects, one of which taking this spawn config and place it therein, the values, which is it sets up the max spawn per frame, so we can manage how many mobs we want to spawn within one frame, because I don't want to suddenly 1,000 to spawn 1,000 in one frame, because that would cause a lag even with ECS. Because that's kind of the changing the structure. That's a structural change. That's how they always talk about. So I can set it to 10, then in 60 frames, which is 1 second, you already have 600, and that would be very easy to handle for ECS. And then in a few seconds later, even thousands you can have. So in case, because if you played Vampire Survival, there are weapons which is kills all enemies with one shot. So that could be handled without a problem. So it tells how many per frame we want to create, and how many we can destroy per frame. I'll come to that later. And also it sets up a rectangle, which is the area where we're spawning in the enemies. So that rectangle could be placed large enough so it's just outside of the screen, depending on how the camera is located. And also I have a despawn rectangle. If any of the mobs are reaching this smaller rectangle, then hi Renee. I hope I said your name correctly. So whenever you reach this, or the mobs, any of the mobs are reaching this inner rectangle, then we despawn them and respawn them probably the opposite side of the player. And yes, and also I have two more values, it with the current progress level and the max mob count, which if you remember earlier I mentioned the progress module is sending this kind of information to the progress system. So it will tell you where are we in the progress, how many seconds are in the game, and also, of course, if we pause and things like that, that will be also not included. And also send you by this calculation, which is tell you how many mobs should be in the game, which is a curve, which we use animation curve for it. Yes, how I mentioned that earlier. So that two values is actually coming through the progress system, which is listens to these messages on from the spawn progress action and the progress action. So the system do that, updates that two values continuously at every tick, so every second only once. So that's not happening every updates. It's just really we will get a new message at every second of the game. And then I created these two data sets, the spawn data set and the mobs. I said I have a list of mobs here, and I will create multiple of the mobs. These are prefabs, technically entities, but marking them as not don't have to show up. They are just used for reading and create entities. Yes, this class diagram is in Figma. I mean, Figma Gem, Fig Gem, something like that it's called, and it has a diagramming. It's not perfect. It's missing some of the stuff, and certain of diagrams are not available in Figma, but I like it because it's more colorful, and that's quite good for the stream. So that's the reason I settled with the Figma one for this session, really. Okay, so back to the thing. So the mob spawn system is the one which knows these prefabs, and then from those prefabs is actually generating mobs which are showing up on the screen. If I go back to the game, or this is not the game really, it's just a proof of concept, then you can see it start to spawn all the different mobs, and then when it's reached my shield, in the moment they just get destroyed. It's just really a proof of concept but this is the idea what I'm using there. Okay, so it takes and spawns in the mobs from these prefabs, create all those, and also I have a system, another one, the mob pooler system, which is checking if any of them reaching the edge of the screen. So then they pull them and they put them back to the opposite side. Let's say if I travel one side and I leave many of them behind, then they put them back in front of me. And also the last one here is which removes the ones what we don't need, because after a time, how the game progresses, there are certain kind of mobs which is too weak and we are not showing them anymore, and those ones get pulled, and that's the reason I have the max distort per frame, because we don't want to pull too many of them at the same time, or destroys too many of them at the same time. Okay, so more or less that's how I do spawning items, and what left is really the drops. Okay, so when here I have a drop spawn system which spawns the drops. However, we spawn the drops when something dies, and that one is not connected at the moment, so I may have to do something more here, but technically I have something which selects those items or those entities which died, those mobs. So I may put a specific component data on it, or a tag, so I know which one is do need to spawn something before it's get moved and things like that. I may have to do this when I do the spawning. I will see, because there is some parallelization problem here, what I not necessarily explored yet. But if let's say I can able to spawn the right position, the right drop before I move that before I moved one of them to and move them back to reusing them with the pooling or destroy them. I may just mark them somehow, and then I do the drop span, so it can drop item, or it can drop a chest or some XP what you can pick up. So that's what I'm talking about. Maybe I should start with that. So I will have one more component data which is added to the element, and then I can recognize it easier, which is the one which is need to be spawn some drops. But when that done, then I spawn the drop, which will contain XP and prefab and maybe a type. Type is just, is this a chest? Is this something else? But also, because I have the prefab, I can use that. It's maybe it will be just the ID, really, which type of drop I have to really show on that position. And then if I using that prefab, which I have the, oh, that's the wrong name. Sorry, this part I just worked on today. So yeah, so authority. So that's the authoring component, which is we use to generate the prefabs, which is picked up with the drop span system, and it actually creates the drops, which is all the entities for that. And also yeah, let's ignore that for now because I may not need that. We're getting to a territory which is still under construction, so but when I have one and the player picks it up, that's managed by that system, and that will be I system as well. I don't need to use a system base there. And when it's picked up XP, then it will collect them together, because I can. So it takes all the different drops. Like let's say in that frame, I picked up 60 different XPs. It's add them all together and only sending one message per frame, because I'm trying to minimize the messages and everything. And that takes back, this is that message what we seen here, which is gives all the XP, or in case if it's a chest was opened, that message which goes to the reward manager and updates the XP bar and so on. So far, I think this much is what kind of was done. And yes, and I managed it in an hour. So I will continue on this because I'm getting to a point when it's a good 60-70% is here of the engine. So I will continue here. Please like and subscribe because it means so much for the channel. If you like this kind of video, and please let me know in the chat as well. I have Discord as well if you have any questions there, or you can do it in the comments. Today I just went through summary, and I did not. I'm not doing editing live. Not continue building it live today. because I see most of the people preferred the summary, like going through summary. 1 hour took 1 hour, so I wouldn't call it a short summarizing of the thing, but I went as deep as possible and went through it as much as possible, tried to explain this, how is this work. So because I see the viewers like this kind of video where we overviewing design and see me even live designing these. I think definitely I will do 1 or 2 more on the Vampire Survival until I will be very satisfied with it, and then it will be time to jump in and code it down. One thing to notice this, because this is design, how I say no design survived the first contact with actual implementation, to paraphrase a famous saying. So when it's actually a completely working engine, which I'm planning to build from this, then it will become a documentation, and that will be completely fixed and final. This is obviously is work in progress, and I can discover something later on what maybe I will change some of these, but so far I think I'm getting a very good grasp, and I did most of the ECS engine module. It's really most of what left is handling damage and a couple of other things there, which can be. It will be very interesting to work on, because I can use there the physics engine, the ECS physics engine, which is very, very fundamentally different than in a lot of aspects. So I really have to rethink how I will make those weapons work with that. I don't have the normal colliders and on trigger enter kind of stuff, but I can define different lines and areas in the 3D space, and then I can query down whoever is inside of that. So it's quite interesting. So when I'm looking forward to actually design that part. Yes, and then there is a lot of UI to do. How I showed you, there is a lot of UI what we have to create. So that will be interesting as well. So I think I will then thank you for you viewing, and if this one will be as successful like my previous video on this, then I'm definitely will do show more the progress, and absolutely will show when it's finished, and I have the full plan ready, not just most of it like at the moment. So thank you for watching, and then see you probably next week, similar time. Okay, bye.